clever pun.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Josh Wallen.
Oh, Josh, hello. Hi.
How you doing, Hyle?
Well, Josh, the world is a dreary, depressing place right now. And I got up this morning and, read the news as I usually do, and I questioned, does the world really need a live episode of the Kongversation right now, of all things? And, for a while I was waffling, maybe I'll just cancel it, maybe I'll just call it off, stay in bed, and look, everyone needs to stay engaged with the world and what's happening and fight the good fight, but you've got to take time to laugh and enjoy life and be a little silly at times, because our time on this planet is limited. And if that means sitting back with you and doing a ridiculous Donkey Kong podcast for a couple of hours where we talk about a fantasy E3, a video game trade show that didn't even happen this year, well then, so be it.
It's a ridiculous topic, even taking into account what we usually talk about.
Right. So, hey, and considering we had already delayed this episode by over a week, I thought, let's just get it over with.
No, dude, I'm honestly, I'm totally on board with you. Like, it's funny that we scheduled that we decided to do this episode a couple of weeks ago now. Like, I think I first heard about it. I think I first heard you throw the idea out there on the air, like before I knew that I was going to be on doing it. So it's been at least that long.
So
but
it just. Basically, not E3 week turned out to be a flaming disaster, even for E3 standards, like bad E3s. It was one of the worst bad E3s, and it wasn't even E3. And when you consider that, like, nearly half of the DK Vine crew got sick that week and couldn't participate in our reindeer games, our fun and frivolous frolics. It's like people were on the shelf left and right, and then I was like, I'm going to reach out to Josh. I'm going to, in case of emergency, break glass here and reach out to the Geek Critique. Maybe he will want to be on our not E3 2022 Wish Show, which we were going to, time towards the end of the week if Nintendo didn't have their Direct. Right? Mm-hmm. And then you were under the weather, so...
Yeah, and then I was like, heck yeah, I'll do it, and then I got sick.
Yeah. Do you want to explain how you lost your voice?
Oh, of course. All right. So, actually, I was really, really sick a couple of weeks ago now, almost a month at this point.
Uh-huh.
Me and my wife both came down with COVID 2 days after my birthday, so... that was rough, but we're fine now. Mostly... Or so I thought, apparently. Late last week, I think it was like the day before... Yeah, it was the day before we were going to record. And me and her were in the car talking about shenanigans, as we often do. And I started launching into an impression, as I often do, of the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels.
Obviously, right.
And after just a couple of minutes of doing like a rat-a-tat-tat back and forth with her about where I was Shawn Michaels, my throat started feeling really fucked up. And like COVID was a couple weeks ago, but I'm still I still got a little bit of a cough, I still got a little bit of mucus, and apparently I'm not as back to 100% as I thought I was.
Oh.
But I'm feeling much better now.
I'm sorry you lost your smile, Josh.
Yeah. I've had to put away a lot of things, and one of them has been my smile.
Oh, don't. Please don't.
Oh, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
That's all you're getting.
All right. Also, not the first time a Kongversation co-host has lost their voice during E3 week by doing silly impressions. So,
but my point is, maybe this was all like a bit of a silver lining to this, because I feel like for the day that we've both had and the news that we've both been reading, this topic almost feels like this is something that I wanna indulge in right now. You know, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I guess, it is a complete, laugh, a lark to just sit back and imagine our ideal E3, but it's honestly something I do all the time. Not just during E3 time. I will find myself during long car trips, like long drives throughout the year. My mind just wanders, and it wanders inevitably towards video game announcements and how I would like to see video games I want to see get announced, right? Like, this is something I do all the time. I don't know how universal this condition is, but for example, when we were speculating, wouldn't it be great if Banjo and Kazooie got into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? And I remember just fantasizing about what I wanted that trailer to be like. And in the end, the trailer was far better than even what I had imagined, what I had pictured. It exceeded. It's one of those rare cases where a trailer, where a reveal actually exceeds my wildest fantasies. So, yeah, but I do this all the time.
Totally. It couldn't. I think I said this back when it happened too, but just it could not have been any better than that.
And this has been a bad not E3, considering we're doing this like a week after not E3. Well, or the time, I mean,
technically, isn't it E3 always not E3 time?
I guess it's like
most of the time.
It's like you can't wear white after Labor Day. Well, isn't it always after Labor Day when it's not Labor Day? Just, what do you mean I can't wear white after Labor Day? So, I guess as far as E3s go, we've had worse, right? 2011. Oh, yeah. When I say we, I mean DK Vine, DKU fans. Obviously, you sitting back with Sonic Origins released as of yesterday, you're sitting pretty right now. But
oh yeah, this is has it really only been 2 days? My God, the amount of time I put into that already.
In fact, I was like, hey, do you want to do this Thursday? And you're like, I can't. Sonic Origins, and I was like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Right. I can't do your silly little fantasy E3 episode because I actually have good things in my fandom right now. So, I appreciate that, but no, I mean, we've had worse. Like, I at least got some exciting Sea of Thieves news that, in my opinion, was something I wanted since the game was announced back in 2015. And there were some...
and that trailer was so cute.
It was cute. Yeah, I mean, really, I don't know. I'm not as much of a whimsy fan as other people are. Like, it was a good trailer. It was cute. But, I don't know. I guess I'm just whimsied out sometimes. I don't know. But the news was really exciting for me. But I understand, not everybody in the community plays Sea of Thieves. If you're not already invested in that, it means very little. Some interesting non-DKU games were announced. I'll grant you that. Platonic Friends revealed a game they're publishing called Elsie by Night Shift Games, which doesn't look like it will be for me. But I'll keep watching it, as I do all Platonic Friends releases. Could have been worse. We've had completely dry actual E3s in the past. This wasn't completely dry, but...
Here's my memory just for comparison. What happened, or rather, I guess didn't happen at E3 2011? That was where they announced the Wii U.
That was the Wii U, yeah. And we, this was the year after Donkey Kong Country Returns, so we were kind of high off our own supply. And we should have known, like, there's not going to be anything this year because we got the big announcement and the big game last year. There hasn't been time for anything else, but we're thinking they're going to announce a Donkey Kong game for the 3DS, obviously. It's time, the strike while the iron is hot. We're going to get this. Maybe we're going to get something else. Oh my God. But this, it was the Wii U. We didn't get anything. I think of Nintendo Land with the arcade themed Donkey Kong section, and this was when Rare was knee deep in Kinect Sports, and it wasn't a great E3. Expectations were absurdly high after the DKCR E3, and it just kind of plateaued very quickly. E3 2012 was also not the best, but at least I think that's when we got the Project Spark announcement with Conker, and that was at least like, what? Conker? Okay. Chris Seaver's voicing Conker again. So that
was 2012 or 2013,
that was
I think.
2012, because 2013 was Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, of course.
So, and of course, that E3 was just fantastic. Until I went to Bonnaroo and got sun poisoning.
See, I was going to say that E3 was just fantastic until I went to Kotaku, but yeah, that's bad too.
Kotaku, Bonnaroo, you're going to get sick either way. And then, every E3 since 2015, we've at least had something. With the Rare Renaissance, we've at least had something. Has been pretty dry as far as Donkey Kong's concerned, but E3 2019 was probably it was the last kind of E3 in total, at least real in-person E3, but that was the year, we got Yooka-Laylee in Impossible Lair and Banjo-Kazooie in Smash, and that was just a magical E3, because I was out there with, the full crew, Cameron, Jeff, Mitchell, who put spiders in Mitchell's car, damn it, it was glorious. And
I know they're at least hoping to do another in-person E3 next year. Really, really want to go to that one myself.
It would be great. We'll just have to make sure we don't get COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real challenge. There's been worse times, and I'm not completely pessimistic when it comes to video games, but. Even the hopes we had for this not E3, we thought we might even see GoldenEye 007, not even a DKU game, but we were thinking, that would be cool to see this game from the vintage Rare N64 era back again, and we didn't even get that.
I'm really surprised, given the evidence that was out there about it, that we didn't see it. Like, of anything, I was actually expecting that one.
Maybe the whole Ukraine conflict is still too raw for them to release a game that so heavily deals with Soviet era Russian revenge, but
yeah, that's the real world, huh?
Yeah, the real world just keeps encroaching. Let's push that away. It does. It kind of reminds me a little bit of E3 2009 when I was almost completely checked out, but we're kind of at the end of one era, moving into the next, and because we're moving into the next, but we're not quite there yet, everything is just quiet. So I'm a little more optimistic, and I think things will be bountiful soon enough. Hey, we still haven't gotten the announcement for the Nintendo Direct yet. That might happen next week. I don't know if the rumors are accurate, because they were saying it was going to be the Wednesday of not E3 week. That turned out to be a bust. Now they're saying June 29th. That will probably be a bust.
What are you talking about? Haven't they already done that their big Xenoblade 3 Direct?
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's happened or not.
That has happened, yes, because they were saying, so they're going to do the Xenoblade 3, and then the Nintendo Direct is going to be a week after that.
Okay.
That's what they were saying.
But that's not official. That's just the rumor.
No, it's just they say that. And apparently that's worth running big articles on the video game websites about. And then people treat that as gospel. And then they're disappointed when nothing is announced. So,
But what's more important, the truth or clicks?
Well, clicks, obviously.
Yeah, clicks. Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny. What's more important, the truth or clicks? Well, I'm just going to say, what's more important is neither. It's doing a fantasy Donkey Kong podcast. But the Nintendo Direct, even if it happens soon, and if it happens soon, hell, we'll do a conversation about it, but it may also lead to discouragement, discontentment, despair, which Nintendo Directs usually lead to, unless you're a diehard fan of Mario, Pokemon, or Fire Emblem. That just then, the odds are usually stacked against you. And I don't mean to cry as a Donkey Kong fan, because things are looking pretty sweet for Donkey Kong fans compared to F-Zero fans, Star Fox fans, and I count myself as a Star Fox fan, obviously. The Dinosaur Planet trilogy is DKU, but let's just look at the facts. If you're one of those fans of a franchise that hasn't had a new installment over several console generations, or it had an installment like Star Fox Zero, and then it just completely like died on the vine. You have less reason to be optimistic than the franchise that has a big $1 billion theme park expansion coming in a couple of years.
And hey, F-Zero fans, let's not forget, like, we got that minigame in Nintendo Land, and that was like only 10 years ago. So the future is looking bright, I think.
Actually, it was 11 years ago, Josh. So you have ruse.
Oh no, man! The Wii U came out at the end of 2012.
Oh, okay. I completely forget. It was announced.
It was announced. It's because we were talking. E3
yeah.
2011. That's where it was announced.
Honestly, the Wii U didn't actually officially release for me until February 2014 when Tropical Freeze came out.
Which is also coincidentally when HD televisions came out.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. They just all dropped the same week.
Strange. I love that as like an indication of where your priorities lie. That
no,
until there was a Donkey Kong game to play in HD, they might as well have not even come out for you.
It's telling because earlier today, for no reason whatsoever, I was discussing booze with some friends. And what booze we like to drink to get drunk. And I was talking about how really the only hard liquor I like or I've enjoyed in my life is rum. And they were like, why do you like rum? And I said, well, honestly, analyzing it, looking at it from a close, critical eye, it's probably because it is the most DKU hard liquor there is. Because it's what pirates drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I when I realized that, I questioned quite a bit about my life and if I really am disordered mentally. But I mean, it's true. Look, I drink rum because it's what pirates drink, and pirates are in the DKU. I might try a banana daiquiri too. I don't know.
Well, why is blue my favorite color?
Well,
did I really decide that based on anything other than that?
Yeah. Well, we are doing this episode live, Josh, right now on our Twitch, twitch.tv/DKVine or DKVine.
Oh, Twitch people.
/Twitch. Hello to the aforementioned Mitchell, Cameron, Dre is in there, friend of the show. Dre, hello. We'll check it in as we go along. So anyway, what is the premise of this episode? Well, E3 at its highest ideal, Josh, is always a magical time of year, even if it's a complete bust for your community. Which can kind of be a horrific beginning to your summer, but it looms large enough in the consciousness and the community of DK Vine that we can't even deal with E3 not even happening. We have to brand it as not E3 just to keep the traditions alive. And the fun thing for me is that, E3 is different for every community. I think every community has different customs and traditions and rituals when it comes to E3 time. Ours have been well documented on this podcast and on our website. And like I said, I often think about E3 and E3 announcements throughout the day. I daydream about it. And I think often, what would be my ideal E3 for the Donkey Kong universe fandom, for DK Vine, for the Kongversation? What would be the ultimate E3? And it's easy to get carried away when it comes to this. It's easy to get wildly silly in your fantasies, and where we say maybe they'll finally announce Saberman Stampede. The Saberman game that evolved out of Donkey Kong Racing that was in development throughout the first several years that Rare was with Xbox. Ultimately, never saw release, but became sort of a meme at E3 time for us. That's not going to happen, obviously. So I do seriously think about what would be the dream fantasy E3 for our community, but I try to keep it within reason. And that's a little bit hard.
Are there going to be like some rules, some rules of engagement here?
Yeah, I think there has to be. And I don't know how much you will be, wanting to contribute your own ideas and fantasies to this, Josh, or if you're just going to play the bemused wingman to my silliness. But I think it means
I don't think we need to take to put like too much structure on it all.
No, okay.
If I come up with anything,
yeah, I welcome it. But and also if you in the live stream chat want to throw in your thoughts, I will be happy to read them as we go. But I think cool like certain things like Rare and Nintendo reuniting to make Donkey Kong Racing, that should be off the table. Like that's just silly, I think other things like Rare and Nintendo having a semblance of a working relationship to allow for some light intermingling like Banjo and Kazooie and Smash is acceptable because we've seen it in very recent history. So,
okay. So we want it to be, it's our dream E3, but like within realistic parameters.
Semi-realistic parameters. We like
semi-realistic. Like basically, it's not like we get everything that we've ever wanted and dreamed of, and Donkey Kong Racing is real, and
right.
Your parents get back together. Well, our parents being Rare and Nintendo in this case.
No, yeah, exactly. And I knew what you meant. I think of them as my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like what.
But more if everything broke our way, given like the current landscape.
Yes, and some historical precedent, recent historical precedent, and also maybe it's just some good luck. Obviously, this is going to be completely outside the confines of what we would actually get, but that's why it's a dream E3. But just keeping it sort of down the middle as much as we can. Because it's unlikely that we would get everything we could possibly want, because that would include a new Donkey Kong game, a new Banjo-Kazooie game, a new Conker game, and It's Mr. Pants 2.
Why didn't you lead with that one?
Even in the ultimate E3, by our parameters, which is E3 2001, which we actually did a conversation about last year for its 20th anniversary, we are still lacking a Conker game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took that into consideration when I was really drafting this episode. So this isn't just me going down the list and saying, knew everything, the end, DKU wins. But I think the true guiding stone of how to look at this, how to look at an ideal E3 within the parameters of the reality we have been given, is E3 2004. Because E3 2004, I don't know how much you remember, Josh, but that is the year we got Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, the North American localization for Donkey Konga confirmed, DK King of Swing announced, Conker Live and Reloaded, Star Fox Assault, and the Banjo-Kazooie mobile games all announced the same E3.
Man, yeah, that's bad. That was a good. My memories of E3s before 2006 are a little bit scattered because we didn't have broadband yet. So it's I didn't like watch them.
Sure.
So basically I didn't have as much to like attach to. I just sort of remember screenshots and reading news. So E3 2004 to me, like I think of that one and I remember. And by the way, doesn't it say so much about how much E3 means to, like, how important E3 is, like you said, that like you can just bring up the year and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know. Like we can name off the things that happened at E3s.
Oh, absolutely. It is like a unifying cultural event. It is the equivalent. I mentioned Bonnaroo earlier. It's kind of like a music festival that you go to every year, except it's tailor-made for your fandom, and you don't know what you're gonna get, but expectations are always high. I can remember when E3 for me was getting the Nintendo Power that covered E3. So I'd be like on a month delay for news, but that would be E3 for me until I got online, and then E3 became looking at news sites and press releases until the broadband era when we just watched the actual, streamed presentations. So,
Yeah.
and then going to E3 after that, E3 was the actual trade show. It wasn't just the announcements. It was the 3 days you spend guerrilla style, on the show floor, tracking down games, tracking down interviews, meeting
Dying of heat
developers.
stroke, asking people which Brothers Bear is best.
Yeah, getting terribly, terribly sick because we didn't think to wear masks back then. It just, E3 has evolved for me throughout the years. And to some people, E3 is just about the announcements, about those big stage presentations or directs or whatever. But anyway, yeah, E3 2004 was what I really looked at and then applied it to 2022 or maybe 2023, the year this fantasy E3 takes place. Let's just leave that ambiguous. It's sometime in the present or sometime in the not too distant future. All right.
Next Sunday AD. Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, but E3 2004 was a really good E3. It just wasn't the kind of ideal E3 our wildest fantasies would have brought us, because we got 3 new Donkey Kong games, but one of them was Donkey Konga. One of them was quite controversial at the time in Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. And then one was something we didn't know how to perceive until we saw all the fan service in it, which was DK King of Swing. We got Banjo-Kazooie mobile games, which frightened us more than anything. A Star Fox Adventures follow-up with Crystal that looked in screenshots to be just completely subpar compared to Star Fox Adventures, which, playing it later, I loved it, but just when you're looking off the news, it's like, oh, what is this? But really, the most exciting thing that year was Conquer Live and Reloaded, because it looked amazing, and we were like, this is going to be Conker's big moment. This is going to be him becoming the mascot for Xbox.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because every console needed its furry cartoon mascot, and Conker was going to be Xbox's. We were so sure.
Yeah, we didn't understand that the industry had about 5 years earlier by that point. Really, before the industry even knew it didn't need mascots anymore, it stopped having them.
Yeah, it turned out Master Chief was Xbox's mascot.
Yeah.
We just couldn't perceive that, because how could he be a mascot?
But yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I know Mario versus Donkey Kong was around that same time too, but I guess that was like before or after E3.
Yeah, I can't I honestly can't remember, because I know it was announced, like, I think E3 2001 as, like, Donkey Kong
they
Plus
originally announced it with,
and,
like, you could, like, make your own levels with the GBA link cable or something.
And then after the buyout, they added Rare's Donkey Kong and gave it that, like, pseudo ACM look that wasn't really ACM. I forget if that was E3 2003. I want to say it was E3 2003 because I think it came out in 2004.
God, the buyout era was just the buyout era was so, like, lush with releases that we didn't really most of which we didn't really particularly care about. that even we can't keep it straight.
Yeah, I mean, like I just said on Twitter, we had so many releases at the time, but the problem was there was so much uncertainty in the air. There was so much unknown that we couldn't enjoy the victories we were getting at the time. I think Donkey Kong Country 2 GBA was also announced at E3 2004. So,
and we had a lot of teen angst about it.
Oh yeah, teen and early 20s angst. But
yeah.
Anyway, so really quick before we actually go into the fantasy, I do want to say
fantasy world.
If Nintendo does do a direct within the next week or so, we will do an episode about it. Even if there's nothing announced, we will do a conversation about it, and that will be a bonus, not E3 episode in the conversation lineage. However, there is a DKU Tribunal special session coming up right after this one for Killer Instinct 2013. So we will be, Cameron and I know everybody is sick of judicial rulings, but Cameron and I will rule whether or not Killer Instinct 2013 is DKU. So that will be the next episode of the Kongversation. So, all right, Josh, are you ready?
Ready. Let's do it.
All right. The Thursday before E3, and in this fantasy, E3 is still being held in Los Angeles. The structure is the same. Xbox with their reveals on Sunday, Nintendo with their Direct on Tuesday, show floor opens on Tuesday. Okay? So the Thursday before E3, I'm flying out to Los Angeles on Saturday morning, right? So I go on my bear hike on Thursday. My bear hike.
Even the bear hike. Go on.
We have to start at the beginning, and the beginning of E3 is the bear hike for DK Vine. I did not see a bear this year, which is why we had such an empty hand. I apologize, I let everyone down, but as I did describe on the Kongversation, it was raining, and I almost got hypothermia in June in the Mid-Atlantic. So anyway, I go on my bear hike on Thursday. I get there early. I wake up at 3 in the morning. I drive up. I make sure I get up there about an hour or so after sunrise. I'm up in the mountains, up in the forest. I see 4 bears, Josh. 4 bears. One yearling, which is, a bear around a year of age, no longer a cub, separated from its mother, off on its own, but still smaller than the full-size adult bears. I see a yearling, which you're most likely to see at that time of day, that time of year. You're more likely to encounter a yearling than any other type of bear. But because I am a bear expert, Josh, I know how to see bears. I see a yearling, and then at the halfway point of my hike, I stumble across it. The mother lode, literally. A mother and her 2 cubs. Now, the mother doesn't charge me. Okay, because I keep my distance.
You're good at finding bears, but you understand how not to upset them.
Because I have upset them before. I've told you the story of when I was chased by the mother bear, right? Right?
I don't think I remember that one.
Oh yeah,
but go on. Let's not get sidetracked. We're in fantasy land right now.
Okay, I just want to give this piece of advice. If you're ever charged by a mother bear because you inadvertently stumble between her and her cubs, quickly roll down the nearest hill, no matter what kind of thorns or poison plants may be in the middle of it, because it is the quickest way to escape their wrath. They will not follow you downhill, and if they do, they will be slow and lumbering about it. You will get away.
Good advice.
All right. That's what I do. That's what I do here. So anyway, the mother bear and I, we stare at each other. A knowing glance. For both of us understand the sanctity of the moment we are experiencing. Human-bear interaction on the DK Vine E3 bear hike. We both know what it means. It's going to be a plentiful year for the Donkey Kong universe. So, getting the bears out of the way, I hike back through the forest. My heart swimming with hope. My head drowning in the possibilities of the E3 ahead.
Not rain, but possibilities.
Yeah, no, it's a perfectly pleasant late spring, early summer morning here in the Mid-Atlantic. It's just lovely, especially in the mountains where it's about 10 degrees cooler. So around 12 p.m. Eastern Time, as I'm wrapping up the bear hike and driving home, Playtonic is finishing their day over in the UK. It's about 5 p.m. over there. And they announce on their Twitter, come back at 5 p.m. BST tomorrow, which would translate to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, or 9 a.m. Pacific Time, as they will announce 2 of the 3 titles they have been working on internally. Playtonic is announcing 2 games on Friday. Boom. It's not even E3 yet, and already we are guaranteed 2 things to talk about.
And they say that it's going to be they're announcing 2 of the 3, so
They don't publicly say that. We know they're working on 3 because that is what Gavin Price has said. The goal of the studio with their increased funding is to develop 3 games concurrently. They're announcing 2 of them. Oh my god.
So yeah, geez, by the time you get back from the bear hike, not only do you have this story, but like you already have evidence.
It's amazing. It is amazing. Anyway, I drive back, and it's a long drive because I need to like jump on DK Vine. I'm frantically texting people like Cameron and Gibbon. Hey, can you do a news story? I'm in my car right now. I can't do it from my car. I'm freaking out, trying to manage the staff, try not to get into a traffic accident. My fuel injector doesn't seem to be working, but it doesn't matter. You know, so long as I stay above a certain speed, I'll get there.
Right, of course.
Right, of course. So anyway, get a good night's sleep that night because I know it's going to be a crazy E3 to come. So Friday, the Friday before E3. This is about 24 hours before I have to leave for the airport. So I have to also pack this day. But Friday, 5 p.m. British summertime rolls around. About 12 p.m. on the East Coast. Playtonic announces their games. Can you guess what they are, Josh?
It's Mr. Pants 2 somehow.
That's nonsense. I told you we wouldn't be going down the It's Mr. Pants route today, sir.
But how can it be the Dream E3 if there's not a new It's Mr. Pants, Hyle? I don't know about this.
We've got to keep it within reason. And unfortunately, It's Mr. Pants 2 is just unreasonable. I would accept an It's Mr. Pants ship set in Sea of Thieves. That would be within reason in my made-up reality. But no, we can't have a It's Mr. Pants sequel. That's too far. No, Playtonic announces Yooka-Laylee. Yes, the game we all pretty much know they're working on. This is a safe little insert into our fantasy E3, but Yooka-Laylee, which will be a different take on the 3D platforming genre. It won't be such a one-to-one analog to Banjo-Kazooie as Yooka-Laylee was. Something less built on the bones of their past work, and something maybe that incorporates different philosophies from maybe the latter-day Mario games or Playtonic's own originality. But Yooka-Laylee has been announced. I won't get into any details of what that might entail, but it is a full new 3D platforming adventure from Playtonic. Release date to be announced. They don't have a release date yet, but they are announcing it on this day. The second game... Hang on, it features not 1, but 2 Shovel Knight cameos. Revolutionary. Yeah.
My speculation.
Well, actually, I mean, Yooka-Laylee had 2 Shovel Knight cameos, so this would have to.
Oh, that's true. So it would have to have 4.
Yeah, just double it. The second game, Yooka-Laylee. That's right.
Ooh, nice.
A Playtonic racing adventure in the style of Diddy Kong Racing. Release date this October for Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and Steam. Maybe PlayStation. I don't really care.
Your normal E3. Microsoft, Nintendo, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, when Sony pulled out of E3, it didn't even affect me. I
know, right?
Back in the day, when I'd be walking the LA Convention Center floor, it was so weird having to walk through Sony to get to and fro. When Sony was dividing Nintendo and Xbox, it was always just weird because it was just like, oh yeah, now I have to get through this blue area. I don't know what this area is. It's blue, and there's all these games I don't recognize. There's some shirtless bald dude who's all white. I don't know what that means. I'm just gonna keep walking and get to the familiar green or the familiar red that I'm comfortable with.
I don't even know what you're referencing there. So
what was the God of War guy? What's his name?
Oh, okay, yeah. Data boy.
Yeah, he's covered in powder. I don't know, baby powder. I don't know.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh, so anyway, Yooka-Laylee. Yeah, it's a Diddy Kong Racing spiritual successor, although they're not going to call it that. That we've all been clamoring for using the Platonic cast, and they announce that we will see more of Yooka-Laylee in the week to come. They're not going to be showing off Yooka-Laylee during E3. Still too much work to do, still too far away. But because Yooka-Laylee is coming out that autumn, they will actually be showing it off throughout E3. And they say we're going to see more in the week to come. And I wonder what that could mean.
Playable on the show floor, coming day 1 to Game Pass.
Not playable on the show floor, but they will be sitting in possibly on the Nintendo Treehouse, among other events. So, okay. Yooka-Laylee. All right, that's exciting. RE3 would have been made right there, right? We've got enough to talk about, but I have to fly out to Los Angeles. Everybody's flying out. Let's just say we have 12 DK Vine staffers out there for maximum coverage.
I'm going on this one too. I'm not a staffer, but
of course. No, you're included in there. We'll bring in Malik, the cartoon gamer. We'll bring in Matt and Joe from the UK. Fly in Gibbon and the Idaho crew, and Cameron and Jeff and Mitchell, of course. We're all like Mitchell rented an entire hotel for us because he found he had a distant relative who was a hotel magnate and they died, and Mitchell was their last living relative, and they left the hotel to Mitchell, and Mitchell got the hotel, and it's right in downtown Los Angeles. What luck for us. We don't even have to pay for this hotel.
Very, very realistic here.
You know, I watch a lot of TV, and the long-lost relative who died and leaves you a large tract of property is a very common occurrence, Josh.
I've been saying for years that's how Better Call Saul's going to
end. Now, this hotel is haunted, so we will have to contend with ghosts, but safety in numbers, we're all together. You know, if we have a little bit of haunting, all that will do is enrich the podcast and other things we do throughout the week. It will just
we're probably the largest group of people ever assembled who has all played Grab by the Ghoulies, so we have an advantage right there.
Exactly. We just know not to get too close to the radius of the ghost, or else we'll have a heart attack.
Exactly.
Got to make sure we have to press BAX. Anyway, just press them in rapid succession in the correct order, and we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. It's not that big of a deal.
Mitchell in the live stream says, you know, if we're splitting it 12 ways, we might not require a full haunted hotel I own. Yeah, but Mitchell, then we don't have to split it at all. It's free. You own it.
Exactly.
You're letting us stay there.
Or is he saying that he will not let us stay there for free? That he's going to collect?
Hello to Phoenix Lord in the live stream. Phoenix Lord, you want to come to Fantasy E3? You're invited. We have room in the haunted hotel, Mitchell's haunted hotel. We have a room for you. You want to come along?
You should probably clear this with Mitchell, Hyle. I feel like you're just assuming.
Mitchell's fine with it. Look, even if we use all 12 rooms, you know, there's lots of other areas in a hotel we can use. You know, sleep in the conference room, sleep in the place where they have the ice machine.
Of course.
Yeah. So, Dre, are you coming? Dre, you come along too. You can fly in with Matt and Joe.
So we're at E3 with it's us and potentially several dozen of our closest friends.
Yeah. Cameron says Roach Motel? No, Spider Hotel, which is what we will call it. Mitchell Spider Hotel. So anyway, all right, we're all there. We all settle. Saturday is just like getting groceries, making sure we're all settled. We all kick back in the hotel bar, which, you know, we've completely taken over. And we watch, you know, stupid YouTube videos, and we just have a good time. Because Sunday Sunday is the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase, and they're holding it live in the Microsoft Theater in downtown Los Angeles on stage. Luckily, we all got in. We pulled some strings. Every single one of us has a seat in the theater. So we go in, we all sit together right in the middle, perfect view, air conditioning, little frigid, but we're all right. Laser lights are always obnoxious in there because you got the green laser lights shining down and the music's blasting, and then a disembodied voice talks to you, and it's just really weird. But the excitement, the enthusiasm, we're all ready for it. So the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. What are we going to see? Obviously, we're probably going to see a Sea of Thieves trailer at the very least. So we're ready. The whole thing. The world premiere guy is back. World premiere. He's there.
Of course. It wouldn't be an Xbox show without him at this point.
So every time we hear world premiere, Xbox console exclusive, then we all collectively clutch our seats. We're ready. And then we immediately see a cityscape or, shambling zombie or somebody getting shot in the head or a corpse's head getting eaten by wild animals. And we kind of...
Hyle, do you think they'll make a new Forza Horizon?
Yeah, no, the car is lowered from the ceiling, as is tradition. So there's a lot of that. We sit through about maybe 30 minutes of just what is it? Oh, and then you ride out the trailer for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then maybe somebody will come on stage and talk about the development. Maybe somebody will play a heavily scripted scene with maybe 10% gameplay and 90% cinematics. Standard fare. But then we see the whimsical human proportions of Sea of Thieves characters. It's a Sea of Thieves trailer. All right, we at very least got our Sea of Thieves trailer. What is happening here? Well, we see a pirate ship, a galleon, and we zoom in, and a figure walks out of the captain's cabin. It's Captain Blackeye. That's right. The next Sea of Thieves adventure in Sea of Thieves season whatever is Captain Blackeye's Glory. An upcoming Sea of Thieves adventure with Captain Blackeye as the primary antagonist.
I love that name.
Bringing in his crew from Project Dream, and even incorporating characters like Edson and his dog Dinger. So this is basically Project Dream recontextualized in Sea of Thieves. Captain Blackeye has been mentioned throughout Sea of Thieves. And in the Tales from the Sea of Thieves book, this is going to be his story. And it will be interwoven in the ongoing narrative with Flameheart, maybe DeMarco, and his alleged murder. And everything that's happening in the game, whenever this is happening, is still going on. This is going to be woven into it. It's not going to be Project Dream one for one, obviously. It's going to be that story retold through the lens of Sea of Thieves, and maybe even filling in the backstory that Captain Blackeye relates to you in Banjo-Tooie about how a bear stole his glory.
And I think that would also legit get a lot of attention from like we said, gaming blogs and whatnot, because they could all run stories about the story behind Captain Blackeye, and then we could go off on the development history of Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, yeah. I think it would be... I mean, this is what DK Vine has been waiting for since Sea of Thieves was announced, was Captain Blackeye in Sea of Thieves. And they've alluded to it, they built up to it. Greg Mails is sailing as Captain Blackeye, but, gotta put him in the game properly at some point. So...
And at the end of the trailer, you see a mysterious silhouette of what appears to be an anthropomorphic clock.
No, so I for about a week in this outline, I did have something like rare heritage cosmetics coming into the game, more rare heritage cosmetics coming into the game, including one of the watches in the game that's made to look like TT. I deleted it because I thought I was being too fan servicey towards myself. I was like, no. I've got to be realistic in my fantasy E3 projections, and getting Captain Black Eye in Sea of Thieves is just enough. I can't add any more. Like, I can't go overboard here, so I deleted it.
No, I do agree. Like, I mean, if TT actually did get added to Sea of Thieves, I of course wouldn't complain. but I can see. No, never. Right. Are you kidding? But at the same time, I can definitely see the argument that character design might be a little bit out of place.
No, I mean, look, I can't talk too much about it because I'm under NDA, but I have seen TT and Sea of Thieves, and it works beautifully.
Well, I'll look for. Ooh.
It's the most beautiful thing actually I've ever seen. I had to look away from the screen because it was too overwhelming. I couldn't process it all in my mortal shell. All right, so we're giddy. We're the only ones screaming. By the way, our row of 12, yeah. 12 to 15 people. We're the only ones who are like clapping and cheering. And everybody around us thinks we're losing our mind. This has happened, by the way, before at E3 at the Xbox showcase, where our group of people, we're cheering, we're clapping, we're hollering. Everyone around us is just staring at us like we are diseased. And then,
yeah, we're standing on our chairs, screaming, tearing our shirts off.
And then when like the first few bars of the Halo theme kick in, everybody else around us is screaming, and I'm just like looking at the time, like, oh, is this about over? What's happening? But because there's so many of us, like maybe upwards of 18 people, the enthusiasm is over. I don't know if it's going to carry through for those watching the live stream, but you'll probably hear one or two of us at the very least.
The camera cuts to this small but not overly small group of people just losing their minds over this, and then we all become a meme on Twitter.
Right, like I think at this point maybe like Dre would be moonwalking, Jeff would be, shirtless doing the worm. I don't know. I mean, this is just in my fantasy. This is how it goes down. So we think that's all we're gonna get, and we're happy with that, right? Like maybe we'll see Everwild. But in my fantasy E3 projections, I didn't even put Everwild in here because I'm like, it's probably several years off at this point. I'm not gonna worry about it. So
not even our wildest fantasies can save Everwild right now.
But near the end, not the very end, because they wouldn't end with this. Maybe about the hour mark, because this is 90 minutes long. we see how's your voice doing, by the way? Are you holding?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry, I just have to like clear the phlegm a little bit.
I'm just worried because I know how precarious a voice can be once it's thrown out, and if you've regained your integrity, but I don't want to have you slip up and lose your voice for another week or two.
Honestly, I think we should probably just go ahead and screw Bret Hart. It's really no big deal. It's what he deserves, to be honest with you. It'll be fine.
Well, somebody's going to get screwed. One fan of a DKU property might get screwed during this. I don't know what Bret Hart likes out of the DKU. We'll see.
What's the most Canadian DKU series?
Probably, I don't know about series, but Donkey Kong Country 3 felt pretty Canadian.
That's where I was going to go to.
Conker's Pocket Tales, for some reason, feels Canadian to me. I don't know why. Anyway, so speaking of Conker,
my dad always loved Conker's Pocket Tales. I grew up with it. Really instilled in me a deep respect for Conker and Evil Acorn. So
speaking of Conker, Josh, about an hour in, we see something looks vaguely familiar. It doesn't like ring completely for us at the moment, but we see these cartoony figures massacring each other, and we're like, is that a squirrel? No, it can't be. What is this? This looks very familiar, but oh my god! In a shocking announcement, Chris Seaver's studio, Gory Detail, in partnership with Rare, is making a new Conker game, or rather, an older Conker game idea is revived. Conker, Getting Medieval, is back. Conker-style multiplayer set during the Milk Wars in the medieval era of the Panther Kingdom, then known, I guess, as the Weasel Kingdom. Yes, that's right.
See, now I'm imagining our reaction to this again, because holy shit!
So
this is the point where I think it would start to feel like we are dreaming. Like, can this possibly even? How can this be real?
Well, and that's what we're wondering. We're all looking at each other, freaking out, because we don't know how this is possible. Like, because in the trailer, it doesn't mention Gory Detail, doesn't mention Rare. We don't know who is behind this. We hear what we think is Chris Seaver's voice, but we're like, who's making this? How is this back? This was the idea for the Live and Reloaded follow-up that was going to be purely multiplayer, set during what we presume to be the Milk Wars, featuring like some Conker characters like Greg the Grim Reaper, but not featuring Conker because this is hundreds of years before Conker. Like maybe this would feature Count Batula, in his prime. The whole like weird backstory to Conker's Bad Fur Day that's alluded to in the instruction manual and referenced by Batula and the Professor and just that whole thing, right? We're getting it. And we later find out it is Gory Detail developing it, with oversight by Rare, like their stamp of approval, but they've got the funding for it. Chris Seaver gets to make a new Conker game. An idea he once had. This is going to be maybe like a, not as high of a production as it maybe would have been back in the day. It's mostly being made to, juice up Game Pass. It just, I don't know if it's even going to get a physical release, but it is.
Probably a downloadable title,
right? Which is fine. I mean, it would be incredible. We are just like staggered by this.
Yeah. Whereas with the Black Eye trailer, I think you're right. I think we would just be jubilantly losing our minds. With this one, I feel like we would just be sitting there in like stunned silence because like we would be unable to process that like we know about this. We've heard of this thing before. But you didn't never think it would happen.
Well, and I looked back again at history at that big reunion trailer where we were baffled and befuddled by it, where it was like a bomb being thrown at us, but we didn't understand as it exploded on us, like how it was made. And if that was even Chris Seaver doing the voice. And I was like, what would be a modern equivalent of that with a little extra juice? And I was like, we probably wouldn't get a full Conker sequel. Like, this is Conker's other bad day. We wouldn't get that, but what would be a new Conker experience that would maybe not follow up on the story, but still be something wholly different than just Bad Fur Day again. And I was like, Getting Medieval. If Chris Seaver could revive that idea via Gory Detail, his own studio, with funding from Xbox Studios and partnership with Rare, that would actually be feasible. I'm not saying in reality it's going to happen, but in my wildest fantasies, that could happen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with this one fitting the parameters of being, everything breaking our way, right?
Right.
Like, I've heard, I think Chris Seaver has said before that, like, he doesn't feel like he could do, like, other Bad Day at this point because, Conker's Bad Fur Day was the product of a bunch of young guys in, like, their 20s and early 30s sitting around and, coming up with jokes. And that, so, to try to do that now would just, when everybody's, like, older and nominally more mature would just lead to such a different kind of thing. But
which I would be fine with like Conker's Midlife Crisis. That would be a great game. Yeah, totally. That would be a fantastic game. But like looking at where Rare is, where Chris Seaver is outside of Rare, I think this would be the most plausible scenario where you could have him do a new Conker game.
Mm-hmm.
in sort of the structure that Xbox Studios would facilitate. So obviously, Josh, both are huge wins for Rare and DKU fans. But as you might imagine, there are some grumbles from the commentariat after the show. Oh, a Conker can come back, and they can do all these allusions to Project Dream, but Banjo-Kazooie, that can't come back. We're never gonna get a new Banjo game. Like people are using this very, very exciting Xbox and Bethesda game showcase to basically be martyrs. Like, oh, Rare hates Banjo. Oh, Banjo would have been better off with Nintendo. Oh. That's the way they sound. Like, they can't even be happy for the Conker fans. They can't even be happy for those of us who play Sea of Thieves and have been wanting this connection to Captain Black Eye. They can't be happy for us.
Appropriately, they kind of sound like the garbled voices of Banjo-Kazooie characters.
Right. I think I was subconsciously pulling from that. So anyway.
Wow.
The 25 of us who are out there, we all sit around that night in Mitchell's Spider Hotel, which is haunted, by the way. And, it's a very elaborate setup because we need more than one microphone. I don't even know. This is the most ludicrous setup we've ever had for the conversation. But the panel of us, the long table in the conference center, we're all set up. We're all doing the conversation together. 25 of us. It's a mess, but it goes for probably 5 hours because we all have a lot to say about Xbox and Bethesda. And mostly those two things. We don't really have much to say about anything else. About the new Forza. It's got cars.
The new Forza is set on Donkey Kong Island.
Now,
oh my god, this is it.
I feel like those are always the jokes we make whenever we see stuff like that. Oh, look, it's in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
As we try to remain positive. Oh. Yeah, Cameron says best E3, worst Kongversation. Well, luckily all we have to do Monday. So Josh, the Monday before E3, when you're out there, is kind of the calm before the storm, or it's like the eye of the hurricane, because you're right in the middle of the news cycle. So I think that's when Sony does their. I don't fucking know. I don't care. I don't pay attention to that. That's something what Mitchell and everybody else will be watching while I'm off in the corner of the room doing something, or I don't know. But
I mean, honestly, the video game industry would have been a lot better off if Sony had just kind of stayed out of it, I think.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I have no qualms with PlayStation. I just have no interest because there's really nothing there for me. I have all my needs facilitated, placated by Xbox and Nintendo and indie gaming. So it's like, yeah, I don't really have a desire for PlayStation.
I was just to be clear to everyone, I was being mostly facetious.
Right. So yeah, Monday we have to go down and get our press badges. All 30 of us have to hike down to the LACC, and you have to stand in a line and go into the media center, get your press badge. And there's always that bit of nervousness, like, what if they lost my information? What if my barcode doesn't scan? Am I not going to get into the show? Like, never has happened once, but you're always concerned that there's going to be some sort of technical snafu, and you've just wasted your whole week and all that money and for utter disappointment. So it's always standing down the barrel of a gun, waiting for them to hand you your badge. You're like, all right, I'm in. Like, the con has worked. They think I'm actually press. Oh my god. And all it cost me was all my personal information being leaked to the world.
A small price to pay to go to E3, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right. So I got my badge. So we study the lanyards, Mitchell. The lanyards. This is a vital part of the E3 tradition, is the lanyards that your E3 badge come on, because they are always provided by Nintendo, and they usually will provide a clue about what they're showing off the next day. And
yeah, we have had things teased by lanyards before. So
Yeah.
just why the lanyard lore is very important here.
Sometimes it's something that's well known, like it's going to be at the show beforehand, like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Yeah, that's on the lanyard. Not exciting, right? Not sexy. But sometimes there'll be things on there like Donkey Kong, and you're like, what does this have to? I think the year Tropical Freeze was announced, they had Donkey Kong on the lanyard, and it wasn't a
That
new
sounds right. Yeah,
it wasn't a new render. So a lot of people are just thinking, well, he's going to be in a Mario something or other. Big deal. Big fucking deal. But they wouldn't have put Donkey Kong on the lanyard if it was just a Mario something or other. They would have Mario on the lanyard. No, they were hinting at Tropical Freeze. Well, Donkey Kong's on the lanyard this year, Josh. And it's his what render would be appropriate for? I was gonna say it would be his Donkey Kong Adventure render, but I don't know if that would be like property of Ubisoft. So
I was thinking it would actually be a new render, or rather a remake of an old render. It's on the front, it's Donkey Kong facing forward. On the back, it's a remake of the classic render on the player's guide. He's on both sides of the lanyard, you see.
Just his ass. Yeah, I don't know if they would repurpose like an old Rare render and re-render it in the modern style. I was thinking it would be like an old Mario like cameo game render that they updated to reflect his current design, like his current nostril situation, and
Nostril situation.
You know, because his nostril situation is always in flux, and give him some of the like current standard of fur shenanigans for his render models. Like they've updated the Diddy renders and they've done a few for Donkey Kong. So that would be within reason. It would leave you questioning like, what is this? Is this a new render for a new Donkey Kong game? This is just an updated Mario cameo game render. But it would be enough. And maybe Donkey Kong is not the only character on there. What else would they show? I don't know. There's Link's on there or something. I don't fucking Breath of the Wild 2. I don't fucking care. But Link's. Let's just say Link's on one side, Donkey Kong's on the other. Okay? Let's just say
Hyle, it's called the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't been up on the news, and I haven't had any Nintendo Direct to point me in the correct terminology for it. And also every time a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer comes on, I get up to focus on other things, as documented in our Banjo-Kazooie Super Smash Bros. Ultimate reactions video, where you saw me in real time say, I don't care what this is, and get up, and Mitchell said, I hate you, Hyle. And that was a real genuine moment captured forever on video. So anyway, so we're buzzing that the Donkey Kong's on this lanyard. All 33 of us in attendance are just gossiping and one whisper, like, is this going to be the year? Is this going to be the year? Are we going to see it? And you know, on social media, everybody's like, Donkey Kong? Donkey Kong's trending. Hashtag Donkey Kong. It's trending on Twitter. And the DK Vine forum is gossiping.
Everyone knows about the lanyards.
Well, it's like I will never forget in the lead up to E3 2010 when rumors started breaking that Retro was doing Donkey Kong. And I remember just all these people who hadn't been on the forum in years started like turning back up, and everybody just kind of fell into this like all night vigil of like talking about the possibility that there's going to be a Donkey Kong game and Retro was going to be doing it. And it just excitement, like excitement in the air, the buzz. And I'm not talking about the Donkey Kong Country 3 enemy. I'm talking about the electricity in our veins. And so all Monday in the Los Angeles heat, we are just talking about the lanyard and making a game plan for the next day. It's going to be a restless night of sleep, my friends. But sleep we must, because we will be doing very little of it over the next 3 days. Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, or 9 a.m. Pacific time, excuse me, because Pacific time is the time zone we're in now. 12 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. BST, the Nintendo Direct. is here. We all huddle around the hotel theater, the viewing room in Mitchell's haunted hotel. We gathering to watch. He's worked it out so we can pull up YouTube on the big monitor. Not
at this
IMAX.
point. Maybe all 43 of us decide to just go to like the hotel ballroom and like pull it up on a projector or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a ballroom, but it's also a theater.
Right.
Can
Okay.
be you can move the seats out for the ballroom experience, for the ballroom dancing, or you can, gather in. I mean, they're not great seats; they're folding chairs, but we sit in and we wait for the Nintendo Direct. The very obnoxious Nintendo Direct styling of just the hello, I am Nintendo, whatever, and just the very stilted delivery, maybe Doug Bowser will show up. Hi, I'm Doug Bowser. Just without any charisma. And, they're in a white void, and then there's a red screen, and you're just like, I hate this. I wish they were back on stage, and they were doing the very, very lame forced humor. I never thought I'd be nostalgic for that. What nondescript action figure that fucking sucked, but I'll take it. I'll take it over the new Nintendo Directs.
A new Animal Crossing is coming to mobile.
Right? Yeah, like it really like sucks the excitement out of the announcement. That's something that at least the Smash reveal trailers preserved is the thrill of the announcement, and too often it's just so like, we're gonna tell you what this is, and then we're gonna talk over it. Like there's no cinematic elements to their trailers anymore. It's just all very perfunctory. Even back in E3,
I mean, sometimes. I think for example, the Metroid Dread trailer did a great job, like preserving what it was. But I do know you mean that sometimes, especially if they think it's not going to be an announcement that people are going to be that hyped about, then they will kind of just tease it or allude to it a little too much to where like the actual surprise loses its punch.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes like you can see their flop sweat and they're like, they're not buying this. We need to really we need to upsell it as the trailer's going on, and it's great. It's great. Just let it play out. Jeez. Anyway, we're all clutching hands. Another thing about that Banjo reaction video, if you go back and analyze it, Cameron and I started it just like clutching our hands out of like giddiness. It just. We weren't even thinking about it. Just like, oh, we need human contact right now. And so I picture like all 45 of us. There is a chain of arms. We're just all like sweaty palms. Like, come on, give us Donkey Kong. All I care about is Donkey Kong, and they do give us Donkey Kong very early in the Nintendo Direct. A new Mario vs. Donkey Kong game is announced. The trailer starts so there's already murmurs, right? Like, oh, this is all we're gonna get. This is what the lanyard was about. Oh, everything sucks. Oh, at least Captain Black Eyes and Sea of Thieves. At least we get medieval. At least we have Yooka-Laylee and Yooka-Laylee. Oh, Nintendo hates Donkey Kong. Punch myself in the genitals.
Why?
Oh, I do that sometimes.
Oh, okay.
It makes me feel things. So the trailer starts off with what looks to be a classic Donkey Kong arcade-style action sequence, complete with music. And before we know it's Mario vs. Donkey Kong, we're thinking, oh no, the new Donkey Kong game is actually a Donkey Kong arcade revival. Our sources were way wrong on this. We see Mario climbing girders and jumping barrels. You know how it goes.
How high can you get?
Yeah, he's trying to reach what's presumably Donkey Kong and Pauline. But when he gets to the top, the shadowy figure standing in the Great Ape's position turns around. It's Cranky Kong. The music switches to the modern version of the theme. From behind, the modern Donkey Kong gores Mario off the construction site with Rambi. Rambi's horn is suddenly tethered by a tongue, and it's Yoshi being ridden by Luigi? Tisk tisk, says Luigi. But then, Squawks flies up, hauling Diddy and Dixie, firing an egg at Luigi, knocking him off Yoshi. Diddy and Dixie high-five and chuckle. The mischievous little monkeys. But then, what's that helicopter noise? It's Bowser Jr., flying up in the Koopa clown car, beginning to fire cannonballs at the parrot and monkeys, shooting them down. Feathers astray everywhere. But then what is that smaller helicopter noise? Is that K. Rool flying up in his helicopter backpack? Blunderbusting Bowser Jr.? What is happening here? Both groups of characters regroup at the base of the construction site, because apparently falling off the construction site didn't kill any of them, and begin charging at each other as we see the actual gameplay. It's like Donkey Kong 94 or the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong, but you choose your path. You're either with the Mushroom Kingdom or you're either with Donkey Kong Island, and that determines the antagonist and the puzzles you experience along the way. It's Mario versus Donkey Kong, Mushroom Kingdom v Donkey Kong Island.
Yeah, that is a really, like, that's basically taking the name Mario vs. Donkey Kong and doing the coolest possible extrapolation of what it could be.
Right, actually having Mario versus Donkey Kong and not just having Donkey Kong be the boss in a Mario game that's loosely structured after Donkey Kong 94. This is what I've always wanted Mario vs. Donkey Kong to be. And if I'm going to have the most plausible fantasy E3 where I get implausible things in a realistic way, we're going to have a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game in there. That's going to be part of the mix. Wouldn't be my first choice, but it's going to be in the mix. But if it's going to be a fantasy E3, this is how I would want it to be. This is what would excite me the most. Excite Donkey Kong fans, by and large, the most. Not, including those of you who do love Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Hi, Gibbon, I didn't forget you. So, anyway, yeah. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Mushroom Kingdom v Donkey Kong Island. And I will let your imaginations fill in the gaps of how it could work, what levels you could have, what character pairings you could have. Like, I imagine it like if you're playing as Diddy Kong, it's Luigi at the top throwing obstacles at you, or vice versa. You're going to have these matchups of Mario characters versus their closest Donkey Kong analog.
Yeah, so like maybe there's like two different campaigns. Were you thinking of it in more of like you choose which way you want to go, or would it be determined by which character you play as?
I would imagine just like which side are you playing for, and then
right.
So then maybe you play as different characters along the way, representing that, and
with like some different gameplay elements and different like stage gimmicks and puzzles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that could be really, really cool.
So
just the concept, as soon as you started talking about like Luigi comes in on Yoshi and like attacks Rambi and then more animal and like Squawks shows up. Like just the integration of like Mario's like supporting cast and like basically Mario's equivalent to Animal Buddies and Yoshi and the Animal Buddies all being in the same game together, like, jeez.
Right, and that would probably
never
happen. That would probably never happen, but again, Fantasy E3 slightly filtered through the parameters of reality. So we're kind of excited about this. We're like, that looks really cool. Oh my god, I can't believe they're doing that. And then the worry sets in. Wait, is that the Donkey Kong announcement? Is this the biggest thing we're getting from Donkey Kong? Is that why he's on a lantern? Is it just going to be this and the sequel to Breath of the Wild? Like, is this, like you said, the worry was there at first, but now it's back. It's like, is this the big game that we've been talking about? Yeah. So we keep sitting through it. We're unsure. I guess the feeling we're having is uncertainty, because maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Fire Emblem is back again.
Oh yeah, we're definitely getting a Fire Emblem trailer. But then, then we see space, and we hear dun 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 dun. Our wings fly into view. The characters start talking to each other. It's like Fox McCloud, you know, this is Falco reporting in. This is Slippy. This is Peppy.
All systems go.
Right. And then Crystal. What? Star Fox Armageddon. A full-on Star Fox series sequel following ambiguously Star Fox Command with Crystal on the team. This isn't just the Star Fox remake or Star Fox 64 remake or Star Fox Zero remake. No, this is a new adventure. I don't know who's developing it. I haven't thought out those details. Somebody is obviously developing it. It's not Nintendo EPD. It's an outside studio working.
If I could make a recommendation, I wouldn't mind seeing Platinum take another crack at it.
Sure. But here's the big hitch with this one: online multiplayer, so your friends can be Team Star Fox together on missions. Ooh. Online co-op Star Fox. Which is why Crystal is part of the team, so they can have more players, and maybe you can even have, you know, more characters like Cat Monroe in there to flesh out, like
Bill.
Yeah, you could have maybe upwards of 8 playable characters in your makeshift team in any one mission. But yeah, Star Fox Armageddon, we're like that would be, I think, on par with Conquer during the Xbox and Bethesda showcase as something that would be completely unexpected, outrageously ludicrous, like just completely bowls us over. We're left wondering, how is this happening? But we're all on board with it instantly.
I mean, had they managed to get a sequel to Star Fox 64 out in 1998, that is definitely what it would have been called.
Well, I was just looking at the naming convention of like Star Fox Adventure, Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Command, you know, but Star Fox Armageddon, you can call it whatever you want. I don't know. That was just a placeholder name, but just something that says this is a new Star Fox game. We're not just going back into the past with this one. This isn't Zero. This isn't the same adventure retold. We are blazing ahead. We are forging ahead with Star Fox. And we're fine-tuning it. We're bringing something new to the table. This isn't just the single-player on-rails experience. This is something your whole stable of friends can play together. This is something that, if we were at E3, and there were 50 of us, almost 1/5 of us could play together.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're already thinking... Cameron in the live stream says, "Oh boy, maybe I should have called in for this one." Cameron says, "Star Fox Armada. Pick 4 characters from a pool of 8. Your dialogue and path changes based on who you choose for your playthrough." I love it. We're gonna go with that.
That fits the traditional Star Fox formula, too, of, like, replayability coming from, like, the choices you make within levels and going to unique stages.
Yeah,
really love that kind of progression system.
I'm going to go with Star Fox Armada. I love that name. That would fit what the game is. You've clearly thought about this in the past, Cameron. So, we're...
Yeah, good call.
Yep. So, congratulations. You have influenced the Wish show, Cameron. It is now Star Fox Armada. So anyway, we're pretty excited about that. I'm like, well, if that's all we get, that's a little disappointing that we didn't get a new Donkey Kong game like we all hoped. I mean, a new full Donkey Kong game. I know Mario versus Donkey Kong, Mushroom Kingdom v Donkey Kong Island is half of a Donkey Kong game, but
yeah, honestly, I feel like at this point I would be the person who's like totally just I'm already over the moon about this, and I'm kind of like, no, I mean, look, we got pre-rendered animal buddies in a trailer. This is unprecedented. This is fine.
Yeah, and we're getting a fourth game. It's no longer the Dinosaur Planet trilogy; it's the Dinosaur Planet quadrilogy. Like, all right, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty great E3. This is pretty legendary already. Even if it ended here, we would still like be a little deflated, but we would have enough to buoy us for the rest of the week into the summer,
for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Counting everything that's happened.
So the very boring voice tells us that here's an update on some new titles coming to Nintendo Switch Online. We're just like, oh Christ! Oh, I don't want get to the new announcements, and we see it fly by. Not any attention paid to it, but we see it. Diddy Kong Racing. We see the classic game box in the lineup. They don't reference it. They spend time talking about some other games that are coming. They don't mention it, but they say as well as these titles, and then it just scrolls by.
Yeah, it's sort of the same thing that happened with Banjo.
Right, and we're like, holy shit, was that Diddy Kong Racing? Did we see that? Is that coming to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack? It is. We're getting Diddy Kong Racing on the N64 back. It's going to be available to play legally again for the first time in over 20 years. Holy shit.
We would be making so much noise that the ghosts at the haunted hotel would be scared of us.
I make a quick tweet where I just say Diddy Kong Racing because I have a typo. I'm trying to get it out so quick. I put the N before the G in Kong, so it's Diddy Kong Racing ! That's the tweet, and I tweet it, and I'm like, oh shit, there's a typo. But before I go to delete it, I have like 100 retweets on it, so I can't really touch it, right? So
no, honestly, having a typo because you're that excited is just that's just genuine.
Yeah, I can.
Although I guess the fact that you've already said that this is what you'll do here in your fantasy E3 makes it a little less so.
Well, maybe then in reality, I would go to put the typo, but the typo would be spelling it correctly, and then nobody would be the wiser.
They're clever. Well, if it ever happens, we'll have to see how it goes.
See, I'm playing 4D chess. So, all right. So, okay, it's not a new Diddy Kong Racing, but hey, we're getting Yooka-Laylee, and we're getting the original Diddy Kong Racing on Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. That's pretty solid for us Diddy Kong Racing fanatics. And all 52 of us in the ballroom, we're cheering. We're cheering. And then we get a new trailer. And it's Mario driving around in a go-kart. Oh no, it's at Mario Kart 9? Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe, but really? Like, do we need this? Mario Kart 9? Didn't they just add a bunch of new stages, like low detailed stages for Mario Kart Tour in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Like, why do we need Mario?
Yeah, and I mean, Mario Kart 8 itself is only 8 years old at this point. That's like yesterday from our perspective. That's fine.
Right. That's a blink of an eye. Yeah, but the game is not Mario Kart 9. I mean, it is, but they're not calling it that. It's called Mario Kart Team Rally. Taking a concept from Mario Kart Tour and spinning it off into a new console game. The big new gimmick is that it's adding custom team rallies in the game. Now, team rallies in Mario Kart Tour, they happen every couple of months. That's where you have like Bowser versus Donkey Kong or Peach versus Daisy, that kind of thing. Where all the roster is split into two. These characters are driving for this character. These characters are driving for that character. And Mario Kart Team Rally will take that concept, allow you to have your own custom team rallies, and they're reintroducing a mode in the game, Or actually, they're introducing a mode based on an old feature in Mario Kart. They're adding Double Dash mode. Double Dash mode. It's not going to be the complete focus of the game, but you can race in Double Dash mode where you can be on a team in the team rally of up to 8 friends versus players around the world or AI.
I mean, I don't know if I can, like, imagine Double Dash is a good game, but, like,
okay.
I guess it could happen.
Double Dash, I will defend the concept of Double Dash, even if the execution left me wanting. As somebody who only played as Donkey and Diddy Kong and refused to play as anybody else, driving around in the DK Jumbo, I had a pretty miserable time with Double Dash. But I like the idea of co-op Mario Kart. I love co-op in general as a Donkey Kong Country fan, but especially I love like this notion of 2 characters riding around on the same kart. And then you combine that with Mario Kart Tour's team rally concept, where it's not just potentially a team of 2, it's a team of 2 and a team of 2 and a team of 2 and a team of 2 teaming up against others. That is like crack to me. That could be a very fun experience. And it's taking something that they have been experimenting with in Tour and spinning it off into a full console game, which is something I feel like they would do. I feel like Tour is going to be a breeding ground for ideas. Whenever we do get a new Mario Kart game, you're going to see a lot of Tour influence as is. So, like, since you would have a potential for up to 8 characters on the same team, they're going to have to add a lot of characters to this, Josh. I mean...
And they have a lot in Tour, so that works.
Well, I'm not thinking they're going to be adding in characters like Luigi with the big sausage, or, you know, everyone else. He's the only one really worth mentioning, but definitely characters like Dixie Kong, like bringing back Funky Kong, oh, hell, bringing back Diddy Kong. Maybe even, you know, expanding the roster, bringing in Tiny Kong from Diddy Kong Racing DS and Donkey Kong Barrel Blast fame. Lanky Kong is a popular Kong.
I am so surprised after his, like, renaissance of like, popularity on the internet. I was going to say a couple years ago, but I think it was more like 6 or 7 years ago at this point. I am so surprised that they didn't bring back Lanky Kong in any way.
I think the problem is the renaissance of Lanky Kong happened, like, it coincided with Tropical Freeze's development, and then Donkey Kong entering that transitory purgatory of jumping between development and well, for more on that, listen to the episode Josh and I did last year right before E3 time. But yeah, I could see Lanky Kong being dredged up for this. I could see Cranky Kong, obviously. Maybe even... Now, this is completely ludicrous. They wouldn't do it, and I'm not actually proposing it. But maybe even Crunch. You know, a character Nintendo does own from a racing game.
That would be so cool.
That would be cool. They wouldn't do it because it's too cool. But, you know. But yeah, I could see them definitely filling out the roster with a lot of Kongs that you wouldn't ordinarily see in Mario Kart.
I feel like K. Rool would be a distinct possibility, too, if we're going this far with it.
Yeah, I could see that, but you know, this would even work, like, thinking about this concept, 8 characters, this would even work with pre-established character sets already in Mario Kart. You got the 7 Koopalings and Bowser Jr., bam, there's your team. There's your team right there, right?
Yeah.
You could have the plumbers and the princesses all together. It might be a team of 8. I haven't done the numbers, like, but you know, it just you could have fun mixing and matching, or you know,
all of the babies.
Honestly, what would happen in most of these situations is characters on, like, people playing together in co-op would just pick their favorite characters, and there would be no thematic cohesion to it. I'd be the only one trying to keep everybody on the same page. Like, we all have to be Kongs. We all have to be Kongs. And then you all have to be Mushroom Kingdom characters or Koopa characters. And they'd be like, no, I want to play as... I don't fucking know.
For Team Baby, the monkey's paw curls, pun intended, and we get Baby Donkey Kong back and have to deal with that again.
You know, whatever. It'd be a small price to pay that, because you know, Baby Mario, and all the baby characters are in it already. What's Baby Donkey Kong to add to the mix? Fine.
At least it's not Baby Donkey Kong alongside Baby Mario.
Yeah.
I mean, happening at the same time, I guess it would be, but you know.
I mean, maybe you would have Donkey Kong Jr. SNES like that, because they brought back Donkey Kong Jr. in Mario Kart Tour, but it's a very obviously retro throwback, just in his SNES sprite design, along with this Mario from the SNES. Maybe you would have indulgences like that, but I don't think they would be going like further with it. Like here's Astronaut Mario, or here is Cat Bowser, and they probably had Cat Bowser. They probably had all the cat characters. I don't know.
And now this is going to be like a repeat of what we saw in '97. I mean, depending on when this comes out, because it's going to be, you know, same was Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing releasing in close proximity to each other and inevitably being compared. The same thing will happen to this new Mario Kart and Yooka-Laylee.
Oh yeah, obviously. I thought about that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is exciting so far. Maybe we even saw a couple extra Kongs in that trailer. Like maybe we saw Dixie, maybe we saw Funky, you know, maybe Diddy, maybe just enough to assure us that it would be more than just Donkey Kong in this one. All right.
Wait, were they riding a car themed after Taj?
And then we get another trailer, obviously, but this one, I haven't even conceived how this would start. I just have the idea. It would start in that very, I like the Tropical Freeze trailer. I remember when it started, you saw the plane crashing down, right? And then Donkey Kong jumped out of the plane. I would imagine it would start in a similar fashion where you see this scene, you hear music that seems familiar, but you can't quite place it. And then Donkey Kong jumps out. And you're like, oh my god, it's Donkey Kong. What we're getting is a new 2D Donkey Kong Country game, styled after Returns in Tropical Freeze. Developer TBD. Because I don't know. I would want to say Monster Games, but they're owned by someone else now. I think making NASCAR games. So it probably wouldn't be Monster. Anyway, the premise, Josh. K. Rool teaming up with the Kongs as a playable character as they take out a common enemy. Maybe it's the Tiki Tap tribe again. Maybe it's the Snowmans. Probably a new tribe of enemies. And K. Rool is wearing a Kong costume. Much like we theorized back when Tropical Freeze was in the pre-release period, and they were teasing that there was going to be a fourth playable Kong. And they were being very, like, it was a secret. Who's going to be the fourth playable Kong? And like, well, if it's a secret, it has to be a big deal. And we stumbled upon the idea that it was going to be K. Rool in a monkey or a gorilla costume. And that would be K. Rool's new persona, is he would be cosplaying as a Kong. And of course, it turned out to be Cranky, which was cool in its own right, but wasn't K. Rool.
King Kong Rool, but not that King Kong in parentheses. That's his full name. The full name of this persona.
And, you know, maybe in a very un-Nintendo-like move, this trailer would be set to a classic pop song. In my head, it's Nick Lowe's "Cruel to Be Kind," because that would be just so apropos for a trailer that revealed K. Rool teaming up with the Kongs. But yes, I don't know what you call this, Donkey Kong Country Strange Bedfellows. That's shit. But you know, generally.
Well, no, that's the name of the Crash Bandicoot Donkey Kong crossover.
Right.
Deep cut there. My God. But if you got that one, well done.
Yeah, same principle, essentially. I mean, so yeah, a retro-style Donkey Kong Country game completing the trilogy at long last. some people in our auditorium, our ballroom of 64, are groaning because we're like, oh, it's just another 2D Donkey Kong game. We were hoping for a 3D game, Amy. Or, oh, I don't like that K. Rool is playable. I wanted K. Rool to be the antagonist. This just flanderizes K. Rool and takes away his oomph, right? So you get some of that, obviously. There's always going to be some... there's always some
inevitably.
Right. Yeah, inevitably.
At this point, the ballroom comprises a small, enough people to fill a small community, so...
Right. I mean, you poll us. You would have to get, a large polling firm in there to really get our opinion. But I think that by and large, we're happy with it. There's just some concern with, I don't like where this takes K. Rool. I'm glad K. Rool's in it, obviously. I'm glad.
YouTubers are already making thumbnails where they're enraged that it's a 2D game.
Right. With that.
Because they wanted a 3D game.
They add, bulging eyes coming out of Donkey Kong and a red arrow pointing to nothing, and a circle. You have to circle something. Yeah, right. So I'm like, all right, this is what the lanyard was. I'm ready for this direct to be over. I have to go do a million news stories for DK Vine. We have to get ready to go to the show, the LACC. We have to get in line. I'm ready for this to be over. I don't care about Breath of the Wild or whatever. So I'm already getting up. I'm ready to leave. But then immediately following that trailer, oh my God, here it is, Josh. Fake out. It was a fake out. And maybe they're going to say and if you like Donkey Kong, watch this. They'll do.
See, I have no idea where this is going, but in my imagination, there's probably some way that one trailer could just sort of flow naturally into the next one.
Yeah, and I'm thinking there's a way to do that, and it's a way Nintendo would not do, because they would have to come back up in the white void, and they would be like, wow, that sure was exciting.
But you would also have to make it clear, I guess, that these are two separate projects. This isn't still the same trailer.
Right, exactly. So there would be that little intermission where they would be making chit chat, and then and if that made you go ape, wait
there you go.
This.
I was also searching for a lame pun of some kind.
Right. Did that make you go bananas? Wait till you see this. And so I'm already going up the aisle. I'm leaving the ballroom. I'm like, all right, bye everyone. Have fun watching the rest of it. I've got to go do work. And then I'm my back is to this. And then when they say, wow, that gave you a case of monkeypox, you'll want to get to the CDC before you see this. And then I turn around and I'm like, what? Is this anything, or is this just a really awkward segue into another game and another Fire Emblem or something? No. Here it is, Josh. The big Donkey Kong game, the one we have been waiting for. Developed by Nintendo EPD. Call it Donkey Kong World, for lack of a better term. I don't care. I don't care what it's called.
No, that's a I love the name.
Yeah. A full 3D adventure. Multiple playable Kongs. Once again, co-op. Essential. Co-op. Structured, obviously very different from Donkey Kong 64. Little bit more digestible than Donkey Kong 64. It's not Donkey Kong 64 2. It's not that. But yes, it's Kongs versus Kremlings in a 3D environment.
And we have the ability to render a full jungle now, so we don't need propeller vines either. Although I think I would ultimately like it if there was still at least one somewhere in the game.
The Hellavines from Donkey Kong
Hellavines, yeah,
did come back in Donkey Kong Adventure. So there is recent precedent for Hellavines. So
see, I didn't know. I still have not made it through the Mario and Rabbids tutorial, because it turns out I cannot stand to play real-time strategy games at all.
It's it's hard to get past the tutorial. Once you get past it, you might find a groove after that. It's a bit of a challenge, though, I will admit. But once you actually start playing it, it gets fun. Anyway,
but anyway,
yeah,
that's neither here nor there. What's here is that Donkey Kong World has been announced.
Donkey Kong World, and it's Donkey Kong, it's Diddy Kong, it's Dixie Kong, maybe it's Cranky Kong. I don't know, but you imagine a 3D Donkey Kong game made by Nintendo EPD with modern technology and know-how. It's not just we're throwing up our hands and we're making Banjo-Kazooie, but bigger. It's got a clear mission statement, a clear directive. And for the record, I have not heard anything about what the alleged EPD game is actually going to be. So when I'm speculating that it's a 3D Donkey Kong game, this is just my fantasy E3. This isn't me telling you, this is what I heard. It's a 3D Donkey Kong. I'm spilling.
Sure.
No, it's not that. It's not that. But like, I just imagine a trailer where Donkey Kong's like swinging on vines in 3D, jumping from vine to vine. Running through the jungle. Just all the action of Donkey Kong Country translated into a workable 3D space. Fast,
kind of what I imagine is something that because correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this the same team whose previous game would have been Mario Odyssey for most of them?
Well, when we say team, it's worth pointing out that Nintendo EPD is comprised of several teams.
Sure.
So there might be people who worked on Odyssey on this team, but it might be a completely new team made up just to work on Donkey Kong games.
Sure, but we assuming whether there's connective tissue there or not, what I always kind of imagine, because in Mario Odyssey, one of the things that game does really well, and that most Mario games do really well, is making sure that the way, and most Donkey Kong Country games, actually no, all Donkey Kong Country games do really well, is just ensuring that the core gameplay, like the movement of the character and the abilities of the character, are really, really strong and really kinetic, and just like moving through the game world is inherently fun in and of itself. So when I think of a 3D Donkey Kong game, sort of what I imagine is something that like splits the difference between, like, I guess the Mario Odyssey style, exploring a 3D world, like going different places, finding and uncovering secrets, as well as the more Donkey Kong Country, like 2D game style of being these really like kinetic games with like where the sort of rhythmic action where things are set up in such a way that you can move through things very quickly if you like know where everything is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how exactly you do that, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, as you move through the world, there should be like elements of like linear game design set up. Like, here's a like an example. Like Donkey Kong 64 infamously had all of those caves separating different areas. Imagine if
no, call them the proper names. Those long tunnels with the swinging lanterns.
Yes. I think just about every level had some element of that.
Right.
And understandably so, given the technology they were working with. But imagine if those tunnels actually had, like, platforming challenges in them.
Yeah.
And, like, because you get the banana ports once you like, make it to the other side anyway. So it's not like you'd have to do it again. But, like, sort of imagining, like, a kinetic forward momentum type gameplay system where, you're like rolling off the edge of platforms and jumping on Kremlings and stuff like that.
Roll jumping, I think, would play a big part in it,
Absolutely.
And like I said, vine swinging and just like constant forward momentum. You can like stop and explore, but just like in Donkey Kong Country, but just imagine that, but in a 3D environment. Digestible 3D. Like, I don't think you would have sprawling worlds, maybe. I don't know. It wouldn't be completely linear either. I'm not thinking like Crash Bandicoot. There has to be a middle ground, and this is why I'm not a game designer, because I don't know how to do it. I just know it would be cool to see. If there was any executable way to do it, that's what I would like. But anyway, at this point, all 75 of us in the ballroom, we're screaming. We can't even hear the trailer at this point. by the way, I'm in the aisle, right? At this point, I'm down to my boxers, and I'm probably possessed by some sort of demonic entity residing in Mitchell's Spider Hotel. I am like speaking in tongues. I'm probably vomiting, and I don't even care. And everybody's like, the few of you who are looking at me are laughing at, me losing control of my body and probably my bowels, but it doesn't matter. Every like, oh my god, this is happening. This is happening.
I mean, you would not be alone. It smells terrible in the ballroom at this point. But we don't care.
Yeah, so the big logo comes up, Donkey Kong World, and then, there might be some sort of element of voiceover at this point where they're like, Donkey Kong World lands this November. And then there's like this quiet moment, and everything fades to black, and then it comes back up, and we see the playable Kongs surrounded by Kremlings, and maybe there's like this on-screen dialogue text, however they convey it in game, and it's Donkey Kong's like, we need more help. Does anyone have Lanky's number or something like that, and cut to a shadowy figure drops down in the middle of the fight. They land in a hero pose, a la Iron Man. Josh, it's Banjo and Kazooie. That's right.
Okay, Hyle, the problem here is you are already possessed, you are already vomiting, you are already shitting, you are already, like, down to your boxers in the aisle, losing your mind. How are you going to survive this? Have you considered that?
I'm going to lose my voice. This is going to be the E3 where I lose my voice from the screaming. But no, Banjo and Kazooie are unlockable paid DLC characters in Donkey Kong World. Turns out, Xbox Studios and Rare hatched this idea when they were discussing Smash. Nintendo loved this idea. Xbox, who has no plans for a Banjo-Kazooie game at the moment, despite rumors. I mean, in my fantasy. They loved it. They were like, this is a perfect way to keep the Banjo brand alive for the time being. Fans will love it. And it's happening. Banjo and Kazooie can be playable in Donkey Kong World as paid DLC. So, Josh, at this point, I think, like, half of us in the ballroom have passed out. And the other half are, like, trying to resuscitate. Luckily, among the 80 plus of us, there has to be somebody there with some medical training. Rudimentary medical training. So we're all revived. Everyone gets back into good health. We hit up the Continental Breakfast in Mitchell's Spider Hotel, which, by the way, doesn't have much webbing over it. We get some protein in us. We drink some water, some juice. We recharge. At this point,
I feel bad for whoever has to clean that ballroom.
Well, it's Mitchell. But Mitchell won't have to do it until after E3's over. So whatever. We're gonna close. We're gonna seal up the ballroom at that point because we don't need to use it because the big presentations are over with Nintendo Direct. Once we're done eating, we have to walk over to the LACC, which is just a couple blocks away, and we have to get in line. And I mean, obviously, I have to like quickly update DK Vine, and unfortunately, all the DK Vine staffers are in attendance, so nobody can sit at home and do the news stories. So it's very precarious. Like, we're quickly shouting, barking orders before we leave. Like, quick, all right, I need you to do this news story. I need you to do this news story. I need to, like, you handle social media. But whatever, like, we're giddy. Doesn't matter. Everything is golden right now, Josh. We got 2 new Donkey Kong games. A 2D platformer, Donkey Kong Country style. A 3D platformer. We got a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. We got a Mario Kart game that's bringing back Kongs. We got a new Star Fox game. Star Fox Armada. This is crazy. This is an E3 we will never forget.
You've already been tweeted several hundred times by people who are very angry that Banjo and Donkey Kong seem to be intermingling.
Right. Yes. But we've already got people moving the goalposts. This does not mean they're part of the shared universe. No, this doesn't mean anything. This is... Don't worry. People always find a way to move those goalposts.
Of course.
Just like when Donkey Kong Adventure confirmed that Donkey Kong Island was in a separate dimension from the Mushroom Kingdom. Don't worry, people have found a way to rationalize that. It doesn't mean DK Vine's been correct all these years. So the show...
But yeah, honestly, again, at this point, the one thing that I'll say is that I feel like having... And this is not... Of course, this is, like, exactly what I want. Holy shit. I feel like the most unrealistic thing about this, even in our best case scenario situation, is the idea that we would get 2 Donkey Kong platformers at the same time. Not that it couldn't happen, but I feel like that's not really Nintendo's sort of MO most of the time with anything other than, like, Mario.
It's usually not.
But in our fantasy world, because this has happened, like, we finally get to experience what, say, like, hardcore Fire Emblem fans feel when people complain that there's too much Fire Emblem representation in Smash.
Yeah.
Because people are like, why is Donkey Kong getting so many games? And it's just... Oh, it's nice.
Here's the glorious thing about being at E3, Josh, is you don't have to read sites like Kotaku. You don't see their headlines. You live in the E3 bubble, which I've talked about. When you're in E3 bubble, all the negativity doesn't reach you. You just have the exuberance of being at the show and experiencing the announcements. So it doesn't really fucking matter. It doesn't matter about the negativity. And here's the thing. Ordinarily, I would agree that 2 Donkey Kong platformers is unrealistic, and it's breaking my cardinal rule at the beginning of this. But Nintendo is doing this. They're strategically timing this to maximize the impact of the Donkey Kong brand to reassert itself before the theme park opens, before the Donkey Kong movie. They want to establish that Donkey Kong is a top-tier, heavy-hitter Nintendo franchise. So they're going all in.
Okay, that is a legitimately fantastic justification.
And I mean, it's not like we haven't had multiple Donkey Kong games at an E3 before. Even post-Rare, I mentioned E3 2004, and while that was a bit different in that, yes, there's just one Donkey Kong platformer, there was a rhythm bongo game, and there was the pegging King of Swing, but
and there was the remake of DKC 2.
And
so technically there were 2 platformers.
In this era where you don't have a separate Nintendo platform like a 3DS to spread out the love, it is more implausible, I will grant you, to have 2 on the Switch at the same time. But under this specific scenario where they do want to reestablish Donkey Kong ASAP, I feel like that's perfectly justifiable for this.
So if I can insert my own fantasy booking for a second here.
Sure.
I think if we're going to do both a 2D and a 3D game, I think that it's more likely, because then what made me think of this was you comparing how you could get a GBA platformer and a GameCube platformer at the same time, and of course we're not going to get with Nintendo only having one console. That's the way it's going to work now. That being the case, I feel like the 2D platformer needs to, if we're getting a 3D one as well alongside of it, it needs to be a little bit more of I don't want to say a budget game, but a little bit of a cheaper development cycle, I guess. So given that, and this would be a huge, this is one of those things that I often think about. What I'm imagining is a sequel / spiritual successor to the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy that actually plays and even looks more like those games did than the Retro Studios games. Not throwing any shade whatsoever at the Retro Studios games. I love those titles, but I'm imagining like a game not built in a 3D engine, but using like pre-rendered assets in like full HD resolution, like basically just an incredibly beautiful 2D game.
Yeah,
in a 2D engine, to be clear.
It's just hard for me to imagine Nintendo, like, no pun intended, aping the style of Rare's games. I don't like. We talk about Nintendo's MO.
Saying it would look. Yeah, I'm not saying it would look just like them,
right?
But something that would evoke the mood of them, rather than the retro games, because equally in my head, like the Donkey Kong World game is going to like feel and look more like the Retro Studios games do.
Sure, maybe a little bit more lush. Like I'm thinking dynamic lighting, and maybe that's because I can't think of 3D Donkey Kong without thinking of swinging lanterns.
We're releasing a Nintendo Switch expansion pack, not the one that costs $50 a year.
No,
a hardware peripheral add-on.
Right. They're like, oh, they're announcing the Switch too? No. This is something you just have to insert into the Switch to give it more power. Just for the lanterns.
And it sticks out of the cartridge slot.
Well, it's funny you brought up a budget Donkey Kong game. Because I was thinking that too. And I was thinking back to E3 2004 and how the news of mobile titles in the DKU reached us in the middle of the show. Just kind of a press release. Just dropped in the middle. So I was thinking, like, we go down to E3, right? It's the show opens. The first day of E3, it's kind of like a half day because you lose a couple hours in the morning when Nintendo has their direct. So it's just kind of the introductory. You're getting your feet wet in E3. And we want to play the playable Donkey Kong games at the Nintendo thing, and you have to get your ticket to go into Nintendo, and it's this whole thing, and you queue up, and it's like an amusement park. There's no intimacy there, but we're excited to do it. And we obviously like luckily there's 100 of us, so one of us, somebody has a video camera and records me and some of the others playing the Donkey Kong game, so we got a lot of good footage.
Video. Okay, so you said earlier that at E3 you're in the E3 bubble, you're isolated from the outside world. Does nobody have a smartphone in our fantasy land? Because honestly, I can see why that would be a fantasy land.
See, the thing is, sometimes you want to have a separate video camera for recording stuff because it just makes editing easier than just relying on your smartphone.
So, but sure, at this point, there, like you said, there are at least 100 of us. So sure, somebody has brought a video camera,
and we can get multiple angles that way because you can use your smartphone.
Ooh, that's true too.
Yeah. So anyway, we hop on over to the Microsoft Theater where Xbox is set up, and we stake out Rare, and we excitedly talk about, Captain Black Eye's glory, and unfortunately Conquer Getting Medieval is not playable at the show, and Chris Seaver isn't there, but we occasionally see the trailer again in the like display monitors, and we always stop to watch it. We're like, yeah, Conquer, yeah. But in the middle of the day, it's announced quietly in a press release by Nintendo on their website of some upcoming mobile titles they have planned. Including, and we don't get any screenshots, we don't get any real information on this, something labeled DK King of Swing Mobile.
Ooh.
We don't know if it's Payon. We don't know if it's just a remake of the original King of Swing or if it's a new game. And you know what? I'm not going to explain it here because in this Fantasy E3, we won't have all the answers. All we know is we're getting something called DK King of Swing Mobile. Exciting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe DK King of Swing Returns Mobile. I mean, I'm just thinking, it's been a similar length of time now since DK King of Swing as was between DKC Returns and DKC and DKC Returns. So, those 20-year nostalgia cycles work in mysterious ways, but consistent ways.
But we don't know anything about that, but it's just, we see it in the middle of the day. Somebody on their smartphone who's not recording, the other 120 of us playing games sees it come up.
We have our smartphones, but all the cameras sorted out because of just because of the hauntings at the hotel.
Right. We go back to look at our footage, and it's just a little girl drowning, screaming. Yeah, so you would think that's where the story would end. We have like 2 more days at the show floor. Maybe we hear some industry scuttlebug. Maybe Dave Throat approaches one of us with some hot scoops. Maybe something like that happens. But all I have in my outline as for sure what would happen is in the middle of the show, let's say on Wednesday, E3 Wednesday, it's revealed that Yooka-Laylee, remember that? Yooka-Laylee will have console-exclusive guest characters. So on Steam, you can play as Beebs from Platonic Friends Demon Turf. Exciting for those who enjoy Demon Turf, and especially its DKU connections. On Xbox, you guessed it, Banjo and Kazooie will be playable in Yooka-Laylee. Oh my god, Banjo and Kazooie are getting around this E3. And everybody was complaining on Sunday about the lack of a Banjo-Kazooie game. Pshaw, this is a great E3 for Banjo-Kazooie fans, except for those who refuse to acknowledge that they exist in a shared universe with Donkey Kong. And on the Switch, who's that? Oh yes, that's right. Diddy Kong is playable in Yooka-Laylee on the Switch.
And on the PlayStation, that's right, he's covered in baby powder. It's the God of War.
Honestly, it would be worth it just to see him race around in Kartos.
Yes, it would be.
So, you know what? I will allow that.
He's got his big meaty legs sticking out of the cart.
No, I can just picture him. Imagine him rendered in like a Platonic cartoony art style, but just with like a really like the same scowl and just.
Oh no! I was imagining that they would just use his model directly from the games unaltered.
Okay, yeah, that works.
I think at that point the juxtaposition would be part of the joke.
That I would be fine. You know what? Let Yooka-Laylee come to the PlayStation. That I would buy a PlayStation just for that.
Just so you can say that you played through adventure mode with every possible character.
Exactly. So that's the E3, and then Thursday rolls around, and luckily only 30 of us have gotten the convention flu, because we've been careful. I don't know the state of COVID in this fantasy world where we get 3.5 Donkey Kong games announced.
COVID has been totally eradicated years before this.
All right, so this is just your run-of-the-mill convention flu. Only 30 out of the 150 of us have actually gotten sick, which was pretty good. I did lose my voice.
Actually, that bad.
I did lose my voice from screaming and pissing and shitting myself in the aisle of the ballroom of Mitchell's Haunted Spider Hotel. I did lose my voice. So the conversations were really difficult after that. But luckily, with 150 of us, we were never left wanting for people chiming up, and I was able to communicate in horse stomps, like, hey, Hyle, stomp 3 times if you'd really like that Banjo-Kazooie reveal in the Donkey Kong World trailer, and I would go. So again, that was a terrible conversation, but.
Well, when you get home and recover, you can then go back and re-record all of your lines, and then insert them seamlessly into the episode, as you have done on at least 2 occasions that I know of.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the extensive post-production that sometimes goes into the conversation, the meticulous attention to detail and quality that I strive for. But
I mean, look, I totally get that as somebody who makes content as well. It's like, every single thing I do takes bare minimum about 4 times longer than my most generous estimate.
Now, hold on. Phoenix Lord in the live stream. But by the way, Phoenix Lord is at E3 with us, as I mentioned. One of the 164 in attendance. And was observing, apparently. Says Mitchell gets a rock climbing wall rematch against Hyle, this time wearing shorts. I don't know why there would be a rock wall at this E3, because there's no Mario and Sonic at the Olympics game coming out. I mean, that's just silly. That's just silly.
we take it as an indication of a hint toward what this mobile pegging game might be about.
I guess there's just a nondescript rock wall, and we're like, let's climb it. So yeah, Thursday rolls around. We're all bleary and tired, but we're just over the moon. This has been an E3 for the ages.
Yeah, there is somebody raises the topic. Is this better than E3 2001? And immediately everyone knows that yes.
Yeah, I think that might be contentious among the Donkey Kong Racing diehards, but I think most of us would agree that this E3 can't be topped. And the Thursday before I leave for the airport, well, as is usually tradition with DK Vine, we make one pass back with Rare at the Microsoft Theater. And I see Craig Duncan, studio head of Rare. He pulls me aside and he says, hey, Hyle, come here. And I apologize because I can't talk. I lost my voice. And he's like, it's fine. It's like, you taking care of yourself? You drinking a lot of water? Because he asked me that. It's really weird. He does check in on me because he knows I work myself too hard at E3. He's like, let me show you something. And he pulls me aside. He pulls out his phone and he pulls up a screen.
And he pulls up adoption papers. No. He's going to adopt you.
No. It's fine. I'm self-sufficient at my age. I can take care of myself. But he shows me a screenshot of Sea of Thieves, of something they're working on. They're cooking up. That's right, TT is coming to Sea of Thieves. I lied. They didn't announce it because why would they announce something so silly, so frivolous? But Craig Duncan was because he knows how much I want it, and he said I personally fought for it.
I fought for it.
Honestly, this goes.
He's the head of the studio, and he fought. That makes sense. I can see him saying that.
I mean, he's like, this goes against my every instinct for the game. Personally, it's just counter to the type of game and the type of image I want Rare to cultivate in 2022, but you know what? You're worth it. You were worth it. And you know what? I'm going to put TT in Sea of Thieves just for you. So he's like, just don't tell anyone. It's secret. It's secret. We're not going to be revealing this for some time. The show is loaded as is, but
sure.
Just
imagine the headlines that would come out if they had revealed it.
Yeah, Kotaku would be eating some shit there, where they were like, guess we were wrong. This was a great E3. Donkey Kong be damned. We're getting TT in Sea of Thieves. No, but
that would be the headline. Yeah.
Yeah, Craig Duncan just wanted me to have a nice flight home. And honestly, at that point, I wouldn't even need a plane. I would just be carried by the winds of my own exuberance. And I would be able to fly across the continent back to the East Coast. So, Josh,
how do we get to this reality? Now that we've established what it is, we've dreamed it, but how do we do it?
I think dreaming is 9/10 of getting there. I think you just have to will it into existence. And now that it's out there,
That's what this book called The Secret told me.
Yeah, no, and it sold how many copies? And must be doing something, right?
For real.
They dreamed that they would sell millions and millions of copies of the book, and they did it. So you're going to tell me it's wrong? No.
I mean, it worked for Ryback.
I don't even know what that means. I know the reference. I don't know what it means.
It'll make sense to somebody. It would not be interesting to explain it.
Wasn't he released like a long time ago?
It worked for Ryback for a while.
Well, then we're gonna Ryback this into existence, Josh. That is what we're going to do. And I don't know how to end this and then just like drop everyone back into the cold, depressing reality that is reality. So all I'll say is, yeah, maybe we aren't getting Yooka-Laylee with all the console exclusive characters. Maybe we aren't getting DK King of Swing mobile. Maybe we aren't getting Donkey Kong World, at least not yet. Probably not with Banjo-Kazooie. We're not going to get Donkey Kong Country Key Party or whatever the hell I called it. We're not going to get Mario Kart Team Rally. We're not going to get Diddy Kong Racing on Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack. Star Fox Armada is but a pipe dream. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Mushroom Kingdom beat Donkey Kong Island. That's rubbish. That's never happening. Conquer, getting medieval. No.
Lost to time.
Sea of Thieves, Captain Black Eye's Glory. Maybe one day.
That I could see.
It's not happening this year, for sure. I don't know. Yooka-Laylee, probably happening. I don't know when they're going to announce it. Not this summer, probably. Probably past that point. But Killer Instinct 2013 may be DKU.
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.